Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens is the kind of show that I kind of wanted to like, and I wanted to be memorable, and I wanted to say it's this, hidden gem type of thing in the future. But sadly, I can't really say that. But it wasn't like a bad show. Like it's very meh. I think is a good way to describe it. Um, uh, Big thanks to my buddy Warpbait, a kind patron of mine who recommended me this, and he's a good friend and he knows sort of my taste. I'm very much into uh, gangster type stories, like mafia related, hitman kind of type deal, and that's exactly what you get here. The show is basically about a city or a section of a city called Hakata, which is seemingly overpopulated with hitmen and dangerous criminals. And it chronicles the lives of a few of these criminals in the city, how they intersect, very reminiscent of something like Durarara or Bakano. Gungrave, sort of to an extent, although that one was a little more character focused, I think. This one kind of bounces around. Mainly, it centers on this character named Ling, who is a cross-dressing bounty hunter, like this cross-dressing killer, right? And he's the one that looks like a blonde girl right there, but it is a guy. Has a guy voice and seemingly just dresses like that to sort of throw off his victims. I don't really know. Maybe it's just what he's into. They don't really like address it. They kind of just sort of laugh it off. And it comes up in conversation a couple times. He does wear like heels, and sometimes that seems to be a problem because he'll hurt his ankle or so forth. But he's a killer originally from China, and he has this very sad backstory that they delve into in the later episodes. And he was pretty interesting. Then you get Banba, who's this guy in the white sweater on the right side, who has an interesting past himself, but now he is like I believe he's like a private investigator type person who seems to know a lot about the criminal underworld, and he sort of befriends Ling and helps Ling through the various story arcs that we have here. There's also like a hacker guy. There's these people that have this like vengeance agency where they seek revenge on people that are. You can go to them and say if somebody like beat you up, they will go and beat the person up in the same manner that they did to you. They try not to exceed the original thing that they're seeking vengeance on, which is kind of cool. The show it's also adapted from light novels, I believe similar to Durarara, and I feel like this was trying to be Durarara, but unfortunately it's only 12 episodes, so you don't get the depth of characters that you get in Durarara. Now, and I would also argue that I think the first 12 episodes of Durarara far exceed all 12 episodes of Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens. The characters are interesting, but it doesn't spend enough time with anybody in particular for you to get that attached to them. Yes, some of their stories are sad. Yes, you get a lot of background on Ling, but you kind of have to wait around for that. The show spends some time focusing slightly on other characters, and I think that this might be a problem because it's a novel adaptation, whereas the novel might have had more time to delve into some of these other characters. The anime kind of touches on them briefly. Like, there's people that are sort of introduced just to sort of be introduced. Like, there's this girl from Banva's past that he used to be involved with that is also a killer that comes into play barely. I don't really get why she ended up, like, being there. There's this, like, little girl that is friends with the people that run the vengeance agency kind of thing, and I don't know her backstory, how she got involved with them. There's this other guy, the guy in the red tie right there. His name is Saito. He's new to the hitman kind of gig. He's kind of just like a comic relief of the series. We know that he used to play baseball. Baseball is a big theme in this show. Many of the characters have a background in the sport, and it comes into play very often. They actually also have their own team, the ramen shop that they frequent. Or their name is like the ramens. They wear these like pink uniforms. So the show has comedy to it too. It's not terrible looking. It looks okay. I don't think I'd really heard of the studio before that did this, but it looked all right. There is some blood. Like they didn't overly censor anything, and it gets pretty dark and adult at times. But at the same time, it'll make you laugh in some episodes. And during its run, I don't think it's very like binge worthy because it's just not very like I was never really engrossed by the story. And that's I think its biggest problem is that even if you're only like 12 episodes long, you only have so long to get my attention and try and keep it. And this show never made me say like, "Oh, I wonder what's going to happen next." It seemed kind of predictable. It seemed sort of like you knew what each character was more or less about. And you might get that same feeling in Durarara, but I think Durarara, because it has that supernatural element to it that this does not, it adds a level of unpredictability. And this missed that, because this was very set in reality, up until the point where people, are like outrunning people with guns and bullets and so forth. But it's an action show, you can leave that. I think its most memorable thing to me was it has a cross-dressing like main character who is always dressing like a girl, like all the time. You never see him besides in flashbacks to when he was a little kid. You never see him in different clothing, and he's still very adept at what he does. As are many of the characters. You got a lot of badasses in this show, but it's just not super memorable. I don't think that this is a show that like 5 years from now I'm gonna say like, oh hey, no one talked about this show. You should check out Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens. It's not something like, I already mentioned Gungrave. Like that's one of my favorite series. Another actiony type show. Jormungand is one that I would also mention watching sort of instead of this. If you're somebody that's into like like gunfights and something like that, I might even recommend something like 91 Days, even though I didn't like the show that much. If you're into like a vengeance story, you want to check that out. I watched this in its dub. Its dub was not bad. Has a pretty good OP. I would recommend giving that a listen. But yeah, overall, I didn't think Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens was all that memorable. Not the worst thing I've ever seen, but certainly not the best. Very meh, very durarara light, like diet durarara. And way less episodes, and in general way less entertaining in my opinion. But still, let me know if you guys have seen the show. Let me know down below what you thought of it. Thank you, Warp, for recommending this for me to check out. I definitely don't regret seeing it. Like I said, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. If you've seen this, let me know. If you like what I do here, please consider donating to the Patreon, where you could recommend me stuff to talk about on the channel. I'll have a link to that down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.